Editorial: Do we finally have DNA evidence for Sasquatch? News emerged last week that a set of DNA was extracted from alleged orang pendek hairs. That those hairs were found in Sumatra by a group of researchers along with Adam Davis. An expedition led by Adam Davis actually found these hairs, and they sent them to a DNA lab, and they were tested, and they came back, well, of course, unknown primate. But there's a possibility that orang pendek hairs may indeed yield. The preliminary results are on that DNA sample is that it matches orangutan, but it's not exactly orangutan, referring to the orang pendek. Now, what does this mean for us? What does this mean for our study, or our field of inquiry? Really, right now, it's interesting, but it's still kind of up in the air as to whether or not we have the proof of hairy hominids. Now, a recent article, a brand new article, just released yesterday. Scientific proof of DNA of Bigfoot may be only months away. Apparently, author David Paulides and scientist Melba Ketchum, who has worked with DNA in Texas for quite a while, they have said that they actually, what has happened is Paulides, according to the article, Paulides has been busy collecting bone and hair samples of purported various Bigfoot. His research has led him into DNA evaluation of these samples, and he reports on Coast to Coast AM that results are very promising so far. In fact, Paulides and highly respected DNA expert Dr. Melba S. Ketchum have found that some samples appear to have both human and animal characteristics. However, the research is ongoing. Dr. Ketchum believes that very shortly she will have the final conclusions to the DNA testing. Then the results will be submitted for peer review in scientific journals, and an announcement will be made. Both Dr. Ketchum and Paulides believe the research is very promising, and that the DNA may indeed offer definitive DNA proof of the existence of a Bigfoot type of creature. Still, final DNA testing needs to be carefully concluded, so that skeptics will not be able to attack the DNA findings as being based on faulty or sloppy science. And therein lies the rub. I mean, if indeed David Paulides has found evidence and has found possible remains of a Sasquatch, then this is a very exciting development. And I am certainly cautiously optimistic. I know Steve Coles hates that word. But no, I'm very cautiously optimistic about this. I really am. And if indeed this is the viable DNA that we've been waiting for, if indeed all this is what we've been waiting for, then there's no longer going to be a need for a body. There's no longer going to be a need to go out and try and shoot a Sasquatch. There's not going to be any need to search the woods for remains. We could have the proof right here. This could be the proof we're looking for. Finally, after more than 50 years. I mean, hopefully this will turn out to be something positive. I mean, that's my hope. I think that's all Sasquatch researchers' hope, and all Sasquatch enthusiasts, and all of us witnesses, that we can have something that we can finally point to and say, "We told you so." And after the events of a couple of years ago, I don't think I have to mention what I'm talking about. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. The events of a couple of years ago. Certainly, we're all going to be cautious. We're going to be, more guarded in making pronunciations and making proclamations of the possibility of the remains of a Sasquatch and DNA samples. I'm certainly hoping that this will yield positive results, and I'm certainly hoping that perhaps we will finally have the proof we've been waiting for over 50 years. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic. I hope this turns out to be the real thing. I hope this turns out to be the viable evidence that we are looking for, that we've been waiting for. Of course, DNA is very, very tricky. It's very tricky. You have to find somebody who's willing to do it. It can run you a good bit of money to have DNA testing done. And if the results turn out to be inconclusive, then you're pretty much stuck back at square one. But hopefully this is what we've been waiting for, and that there will no longer be any need to go out and find a Sasquatch, or capture one or kill one, if indeed this turns out to be what we've been waiting for. And as I said, I'm cautiously optimistic about this. I really am. And it should be an exciting development either way. I'm just hoping that this is the real thing, and that pretty much the search will be over. Although, there are those who will still go out and attempt to, I think the next step would be to attempt to observe the Sasquatch in their natural habitat. Attempt to get some answers on why they do certain things. What foods do they eat? Where do they go during the day? What do they do during the day? Questions that need answers, I think. And I think there's a possibility of observing Sasquatches without harassing them, without disturbing them. The recent book Enoch described the fellow Mike, who has had continued interactions and has been watching them. Now, if that story is true, then these are things that we can take. There are things we can take from that story. Excuse me, account, not story. That kind of validate a lot of people's observations of Sasquatches over the years, especially the habituators, or the long-term witnesses. That's what Autumn calls them, long-term witnesses. All I can say is that I wish David Paulides good luck, and I wish him all the luck in the world, and I hope that this turns out to be the real deal. And I really do hope that we have finally gotten the proof that we've been waiting for over 50 years. Well, myself, I have not been waiting that long, 34 years, but still. It would be great if this turns out to be the real thing. It would be great if this turns out to be the validation that everybody's been waiting for and looking for. And we'll just have to wait and see what develops. And any further updates, I will make sure that I give you guys the latest whenever it comes out. So, but I just hope this is the real thing, and I'm very cautiously optimistic at this point.